Hey, how's it going, YouTube? It is the final qualifier of the RLCS season for North America this weekend, and with that, a lot on the line. I told you guys in a previous video, a bunch of teams already eliminated, like the likes of TSM, but we still have 12 teams that are fighting for a chance to not only go to London for the major, but also a chance to compete in the World Championship. With NA this weekend, we are tuning into all the different scenarios, and we're going to do it as always. First and foremost, shoutouts to Direct, the statistician for RLCS. He always puts these together in a nice, easy, legible way with like a cheat sheet and a simple way to kind of identify it. This will be linked in the description. If you guys want to follow along with this, or if you want to follow along with my video on Friday, Saturday to see what's happening, it's an easy way to do it. But primarily, the big things to pay attention to are on the very first page in the standings. And they're pretty easy to understand and identify. G2 is good. G2 has clinched. They are going to London. They're fine. They've clinched a world championship spot, but that's what happens when the worst you place is second throughout the entire season. Most consistent team in the world right now. Behind them, you've got tied for second/third place is Gen.G and Space Station. And then in third, fourth place, there is another tie. Fourth. So second, third is tied. And then fourth, fifth is tied with Cloud9 and OG, which a lot of people are like, wow, they're tied fourth place. Life is good, all that kind of stuff. But the reality of it, which is really dangerous, is like even for teams like M80, Shopify, teams that are only 4 points behind, that's the difference between them losing in quarterfinals or going to top 4. So one match is the difference maker. So again, it is a lot more difficult and a lot more competitive than it may initially look. So for the ones that are tied, Gen.G Space Station, we're only going to show you one, and then you just got to swap the two names, but pretty straightforward. So Gen.G Space Station, this applies to. Wherever it says Gen.G, put Space Station, and wherever it says Space Station, put Gen.G in your head respectively. Again, all the tabs are individualized, but for time's sake, we're going to make this as simple as possible. The big thing for Gen.G and Space Station is they're pretty locked in. If they end up making top 8, they should realistically be okay. Because if you're talking statistically, they need 4 or more of the things to happen. Shopify is probably not going to win the event. M80 hasn't proven to win the event, although M80 may get past their mental hurdle in top 8 and go on a tear. We don't know. Snowmen, I don't see beating some of these top teams. And then OG or Cloud9, they need to finish at best in the top 4. And neither of these teams have made a grand final. So it's like, realistically, you have 5 chances for something to happen. And the only thing that's really beneficial is if they're competitors. So for Gen.G, if Space Station doesn't make top 8, they're like, heck yeah, we did it. Same thing for Space Station. If Gen.G doesn't make top 8, they're like, life is good. So that's pretty much what's going on. The cool thing, if you're a Gen.G or a Space Station fan, if they make the quarterfinals, they are guaranteed a tiebreaker. So no matter what, if they make top 8, they will at least have a chance to play a best of 7 to go to the major. Very, very likely. There's even some opportunities where if they go 0-3, that they could also make it if they get the perfect amount of setups with teams winning ahead of each other. So we're not going to go into the nitty gritty for all these because it's just a bunch of time. But realistically, if you are a fan of Gen.G or Space Station, you're hoping for them minimum top 8. It gives them almost a guarantee to go. And if not, at least they have a chance to play a tiebreaker, which is what you want. So pretty cool stuff there. Cloud9 and OG, same situation. They are tied with their results. So the exact same scenarios for them. Wherever you see Cloud9, put OG, and wherever you see OG, put Cloud9, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, these are a little bit more difficult, but the big scenario is for them if they win. If they win the whole thing, if Cloud9 or OG wins the entire thing, the additional 20 points will lock them in. They are fine. They will go. But if they don't win and they go to the grand finals and get second place, they at least clinch a tiebreaker. Those 16 points will guarantee them at least the opportunity to play a best of 7. So, again, these are the teams that are tied right now 4-5, fighting for 1 spot. Outside of that, things get a little bit more complicated. And the reality is, if they don't make, because both these teams have missed top 8s before, if they go 2-3, say they go to the round 2-2, round 5, and they lose, they need all of these scenarios to happen. And again, the thing for Cloud9 is where OG is. It'll say Cloud9, and then OG will be up here. So again, they can clinch a spot if they go 2-3, but they need OG to finish 1 round below them. They need Snowmen to tie their same spot. They need M80 to get top 8 and nothing better. They need Shopify top 8 or nothing better. They need Luminosity, Energy, all these teams top 4, nothing better. And they can't let Dignitas pass them up. And basically what that's doing is it is taking in the standings here. If they're here, they need to outperform these guys by 2 rounds, these guys by 1 round, these guys by 3 rounds. And if they win, then the 20 plus points will put them at 33. Or no, it'll put them at 29, which is just enough to bump ahead, assuming the tiebreaker scenarios and all that stuff play out. So again, you're basically looking at these teams need to be 1 round ahead, 2 rounds ahead, 3 rounds ahead, 4 rounds ahead, so on and so forth, just with the point differential. So pretty straightforward. But if you're Cloud9 and OG, you're looking expecting of a top 8. For top 8, it's similar situation. They just need the teams that are slightly below them to underperform. But if OG and Cloud9 both make top 8 and they both lose in top 8, expect probably a best of 7 between the two of them, assuming Space Station, Gen.G, and G2 are the ones above them. So pretty crazy stuff. We then go to Snowmen. Snowmen's a little bit unique because they do have that extra 2 points over the teams below them, like M80. With Snowmen, and the cool thing about this is OG, Cloud9, Space Station, and Gen.G, there is never a scenario, even if they go 0-3, that they're completely eliminated. Statistically, there is still always a chance for them to at least get a tiebreaker. But for teams like Snowmen, M80, and the rest, there is a part where they do get eliminated. So if Snowmen goes 1-3, they're done. They have to at least go to round 5 to give themselves a chance. Okay? That is required. So that's part of it. From there, the realistic side of things is they need a top 4. If you're Snowmen and the rest, you need at least a top 4. Top 8 is going to be really tough to have all these scenarios happen. Like, you're asking Cloud9 to go 1-3. You're asking OG to go 1-3. That one's kind of realistic. That one's realistic. These are realistic. But, like, you need all of them to happen. And for both Cloud9 and OG to not make top 8 would be pretty crazy because we all know how well they've performed. So, again, maybe Snowman takes the spot of OG or Snowman takes the spot of Cloud9. Then, yeah, I could see it potentially happening. So, there is some cool stuff that could happen here. Realistically, if they make top 4, they should be pretty confident in their chances. If they make top 4 and Cloud9 OG don't also get top 4, at least they clinch. If they do, then you're looking for potential tiebreakers. Or they may leapfrog a team that is below them. But only way to guarantee it is if they win the whole shebang. Okay. Up next, M80, the top 8 merchants. If they do not make top 8, if they go 2-3 or worse, they're done. They're eliminated. They have to make top 8 to keep their chances alive. From there, then, they need a bunch of help. They need Cloud9 and OG to both perform worse than them. And by perform worse, I mean they can't get any additional points. So we're talking just pure statistics. If they go top 8 again, that gives them 24 points, which would then tie them if they don't get any additional points. They go 0-3, they keep their 4. It's a 3-way tie, and we just run it. And it's going to be rough because then M80's got to win 2 best of 7s to get through. Doesn't look easy. Okay. Realistically, if you are an M80 fan, you need them to finally, for the first time this season, get a top 4 placement. They need top 4, and they also need some love and attention. They need both Cloud9 and OG to place 1 tier below them so they can tie it up. So if Cloud9 and OG end up getting 8 points, then they need 12 points, so on and so forth. And then outside of that, it's also for Snowmen, top 8 at best. Shopify, top 8 at best. Luminosity, top 4. And then they need the teams below them to not win, which is very likely. But the difference is it can't be up to 2 or more, up to 4. Like, all of these have to happen. No ifs, ands, or buts. Again, as a reminder, while we're going through these, Direct will be updating these in either green, like they happened, or red, that they didn't happen, live during this weekend. I'll also keep you guys up to date when we do watch parties. Shopify Rebellion, similar regards to M80, because points-wise, like we said, they're both tied at 20. So all the stuff I just talked to you guys about M80 is identical for Shopify. The difference, though, is anywhere you see Shopify, swap it with M80. Anywhere you see M80, swap it with Shopify. Okay? Pretty straightforward. We then go to Luminosity, and Luminosity has some pretty tough ones. Luminosity needs at least top 4. If they don't get top 4, they're eliminated. They're done. It's sayonara. And keep in mind, and this is something I haven't stated, teams are done after this. Like, their season is completely over. So if a team does not perform and does not keep their chances alive, they're out of the running for the world championship. They're out of the running for, like, realistically, the only ones that are still alive are the guys in the top 4 currently. So you're looking at Gen.G, Space Station, OG. Luminosity, if they're not making the major, they're probably going to get bumped out in points because the standings wise, Space Station is just so close already. So for Luminosity, they basically have to provide a buffer. If they go top 4 and then a team like OG and Space Station still make it, then they got to hope they just completely go like 0-3 and Swiss and bottom out at the major. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. So Luminosity needs a high performance. Basically, if you're Luminosity, you want a top 2. 1, to give yourself a chance to go to the major, and 2, to create a buffer of points for the World Championship. There's a lot on the line this week. Okay? But realistically, if you're Luminosity, you need to make a top 4, and then you need a bunch of help. You need Cloud9 and OG to poop the bed and go 0-3. You need Snowmen, M80, and all these other ones to get top 8 at best. Snowmen in particular, because they have those additional 2 points, can't, or because of the 2-point difference underneath the other guys, like M80. If they go 2 and 3, then they're okay. We then look at NRG. NRG's got to make the grand finals. And all the teams below them have to do horribly. For every team that is above them in the standings, as we can show you guys kind of at the same time here. So if NRG is here, each time you get a different placement, you get an additional 4 points until it eventually leaps up ahead. So 20, 16, 12, and then 8. So if NRG performs and gets a top 2, that gives them a guaranteed 16 points, which would put them at 25. So you would need Cloud9 and OG to go and just botch it. So it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult, but it is possible. It only gets harder if you're the other ones. If you're moist, you also need to get to the grand finals, and then you need a same situation. You need a bunch of help. You need a ton of scenarios to go in your favor. Even with winning, you still need teams like OG and Cloud9 who have that point differential in their favor to finish top 8 at best, which, again, I will say, and the same thing for Dignitas, they need grand finals. Spate has to win the whole thing. No other options. But the reality is if a team in these rounds is winning the whole thing, it's very likely that one of these teams completely pooped the bed, or one of these teams pooped the bed and they took their spot. So there is a chance. The ideal scenario for all the teams like Luminosity, NRG, Moist, Dig, etc. is G2, Gen.G, and Space Station keep tearing it up and life is good. And then on the other side of the bracket, you see one of these teams, the NRG, Moist, Dignitas, etc., knocking their competition out early. You see teams like Cloud9 and OG going 0-3 or 1-3, and you find your way in that bracket and you go all the way to the grand finals and win it. That is perfect optimal scenario. Very unlikely though. So again, that is what we have for the playoff scenarios for the major, all your tiebreaker scenarios and stuff. I will link this in the description if you guys have any additional questions. Direct on Twitter is also your best friend for following these things along. This document is public. You can pull it up during the match, just put it on a secondary monitor or whatever you've got. They will be grayed out or marked red if they've been eliminated, green if things are still alive and going. But it's usually easy to go, okay, if I'm a team and I'm rooting for Luminosity, right? I'm a big Rattles fan. I go to the Luminosity tab and I just look at, okay, where are we at in the bracket? Okay, it's round 5. They need to go 9-11, and you just watch and you work your way up. Makes it pretty easy. But again, pretty straightforward stuff. If you guys have any questions, we'll be doing watch parties this weekend as well. Twitch.tv/Lawler. Come hang out with us. And I'm happy to answer any questions while these things are going on throughout the tournament as well. But that's going to do it for today's video. As always, like, subscribe, notifications. Any additional questions down in the comments below. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.